On August 2, 2026, the European Union AI Act will legally enforce a strict operational boundary on all high-risk artificial intelligence systems. Article 14 of the regulation demands the independent verification of high-risk AI outputs. This is a statutory requirement to guarantee that human overseers can correctly interpret anomalies and detect functional drift during live operation. The industry has responded by constructing compliance architectures out of external software. Teams bolt on RAG filters, integrate vector databases, and append RLHF modules to act as automated checkers. This approach creates a recursive dependency. When the monitoring software shares the same logic and hardware as the AI, a failure in the model can silently propagate through the tools meant to catch it. The market's entire compliance strategy operates on a misunderstanding of what the word independent actually means in the contexts of physics and law. This is the standard AI deployment stack. The foundational model, dashboards, and vector databases are enclosed within a single boundary. Despite seemingly separate software containers, every component runs on the same hardware. This Turing-complete substrate executes arbitrary instructions through an arithmetic logic unit. Sharing this computational class immediately invalidates the concept of independent verification. The auditor and the audited system share the same memory architecture, the same cache behavior, and the exact same vulnerability to logic errors. Any oversight mechanism relying on a shared Turing-complete substrate inherits the exact same failure domain as the AI it measures. True compliance is impossible here. In legal terms, independent has a definition backed by 50 years of financial regulation precedent, from Sarbanes-Oxley to Dodd-Frank. The law dictates that an auditor is disqualified if they share a vulnerability profile with the entity being audited. This legal principle aligns perfectly with the foundational mathematics of computer science, specifically the work of Alan Turing. In 1936, Turing proved that a computational system of a specific class cannot definitively decide the internal properties of another system operating within that identical class. Look at this execution path. When AI generates output and independent compliance software evaluates it, both rely on the same floating point multiplication inside the ALU. Being Turing-complete, neither system can definitively prove the other's continuity without risking the exact same structural drift. Building software to verify software creates an infinite regress. The verifier itself requires verification. Therefore, an external software checker executing arbitrary programs is legally and physically blind to the AI system's functional drift. Infrastructure engineers frequently point to hardware-level trusted execution environments, like Intel TDX or AMD SEV-SNP, as the solution to this compliance problem. This diagram illustrates a trusted execution environment. It establishes an isolated boundary to guarantee cryptographic secrecy. But if an LLM hallucinates inside this enclave, the environment simply encrypts the hallucination. It provides zero measurement of the AI's sanity or continuity. We are dealing with two distinct architectural properties. Secrecy protects the execution room from the outside world. Verification protects the system from itself. Hardware isolation secures the data, but it does not equate to functional role continuity. The requirements of Article 14 remain completely unfulfilled. To achieve true independence, the measurement mechanism must be moved from the AI's executable computational class entirely. The physical domain where this measurement must occur is located fundamentally below the ALU. This data flow diagram maps a legally compliant verifier operating in the memory fetch path. Here, a single XOR logic gate performs an atomic comparison. Unlike Turing-complete software, this combinational logic has no executable instructions, leaving zero surface area for the AI to mutate. The core principle of this hardware architecture is that physical position directly encodes the functional role of the data. Violations are detected instantly. If the data is displaced from its authorized physical coordinate, the system registers that the AI's functional role has officially drifted. By dropping down to a non-Turing-complete computational class, the architecture eliminates the shared failure domain and achieves true structural independence. This diagram reconstructs the AI stack into two distinct physical layers. The top execution layer runs complex stochastic models. Isolated beneath it, the verification layer continuously measures functional continuity using deterministic combinational logic, binding successful address matches to digital signatures to produce a cryptographic trust artifact from the silicon. Current standards rely on probabilistic software confidence scores. This silicon artifact provides absolute physical certainty. Note the ethical boundary of this hardware. The instrument is strictly premoral. It cannot judge whether an AI's output is good or bad. It only measures whether the authorized functional role remains intact. Identity continuity cannot be reliably measured from inside the system's own cognitive substrate. The instrument must sit outside the intelligence. For organizations deploying these systems, the August 2026 deadline shifts AI from a technical pilot to a primary legal obligation. Actuaries underwrite failure domains, not deterministic traces. Without a continuous, substrate-level measurement, AI liability insurance simply cannot be accurately underwritten or priced. Until compliance architectures shift to pre-ALU hardware constraints, organizations are carrying unmeasured liability on every single inference they deploy. The mathematics of computation ultimately dictate the architecture of governance. You cannot regulate away the laws of physics. The European Union AI Act did not invent this physics problem. It simply set the legal deadline for ignoring